everyone. Good evening. Just wanted to check if my voice is audible to all of you. Please confirm if I'm audible. Okay, thanks. Thanks for confirming it. We should be starting in a couple of minutes from now. So just give us a couple of minutes and we should be on our way. Meanwhile, what all of you can do is you can quickly type in your introduction in the chat, what role you are playing and which organization you are working with. Okay, and what is the total experience you have. So if you can type that in the chat and so that I can get a fair amount of idea about your profile. All right. Thanks everyone for people who started introducing themselves. Others can also type in here a quick introduction about yourself, the work you are doing, and the experience what you carry. All right. So let us start with today's session. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever part of the world you are. Welcome to this exciting hour of learning, and let us try to understand what is the future of project management. I'm sure that is what has drawn to all of you here. Your curiosity about the project management as a discipline, what are the career aspects related to project management, and more importantly, how I can leverage project management in my day-to-day life, right? That is the whole objective of this 1 hour session, what we'll plan to have. So I will try to cover some facets of project management and how you can actually fast track your career as a project manager and grow, right? So that is what I'll be talking about in next 1 hour. Subsequently, when I complete my session, I will open up the floor for any questions which are there. So first of all, thanks to Cognixia for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to share my views. So some information about the organization. It's one of the largest talent transformation company. And these are the areas, or I would say center of excellences where it operates today, right? Whether it is machine learning, artificial intelligence, DevOps, core management, project management, IoT, big data analytics, professional development, microservices, you name it, and they have a center of excellence which actually caters to your learning needs, right? So as I said, I'll be talking about more about project management, and of course towards the end I'll be talking about the certification exam, right? What essentially is this certification exam all about, and how do we ensure that we earn that professional recognition, we earn that professional certification, and we boost our career, right? That is what we also will be talking as a part of this session. Now, as I said, towards the end of the session, I will open up the floor for any questions and answers, or if you want, you can type in the questions as we move along, and then I'll be able to answer these questions and clarify any of your doubts which are there. Okay, so let us start. Let us deep dive into this, and let us try to understand what essentially is project management all about, right? Now, the fundamental piece about project management is that this is a training program, or this is a course which helps you prepare to manage projects in an effective and an efficient manner, right? And I mean, today the world which we live in, right? Each and every activity we are doing, it actually constitutes a project, right? So whether you are even, let us say you're not, you might think that you're not working in a project, but in reality, each one of us is actually working in a project in some way or the other. So whether you are a teacher, whether you are working as a consultant, whether you are working as, let us say, an innovator, project management is an integral aspect, or project management is an integral part of our day-to-day life, right? So the very basic premise of project management, or if I want to define project, is that it is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, a unique service, or a unique result. So that is a standard definition of a project, what we say, right? So as I said, it could be a politician who's fighting for an election. Now, even that person is actually working as a project manager. Okay, he or she is working as a project manager, or for that matter, a researcher trying to come out with a new drug, or let us say coming out with a new innovative fuel efficient car. All these are examples of a project, a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, a unique service, or a unique result. So that is what we call it as the definition of a project. What is there, right? Or that is what is the standard definition of project what we have. So temporary. Now, this word temporary is very much confusing to everyone. Many people think that temporary means short term. No, it is not short term. Temporary means that the project has got a definite start date and a definite end date. That is the meaning of the word temporary. It doesn't mean short term. It means that the project has got a definite start date and an end date. And this even applies. This even applies to a project which is running into 25, 30 years. So if you have a project running for 25, 30 years, like constructing a dam or coming out with a nuclear warhead, this definition even applies to that. Okay, so this is a standard definition what we say. And we also say that a project completes when either its objectives have been met or they cannot be met due to XYZ reasons. So there could be some very compelling reasons as to why the project and its objectives cannot be met. And that is when we say that the project has to be halted, or the project has to be put on a suspension mode, what is there, right? So that is the definition, or that is what we say is the classic definition of a project. So what can be an example of a project with with a unique service? Let us say the telecoms industry moving from 5G to 6G. So that will be a unique service. A unique result, an example of a project with a unique result can be man landing on the moon for the first time. So that will be basically a project with a unique result. So that is the classic definition, or that's the standard definition of what we call it as a project, what is there. Okay, moving ahead, let us further see this. Some more examples of a project, as you can see, right? Construction of a mall, or basically improving the electricity supply, creating a new tablet, coming out with a new treatment for disease. So all these could be an example of a project what is there. For example, even coming out with a, I would say, painless treatment for a critical disease like cancer, let us say. So that can be the definition of a project, right? Or that is the definition of a project what we have. Okay, every project is progressively elaborated. What do we mean by that? Progressive elaboration means that we get more clarity and insight as we move along. So in the initial days of the project, the clarity or the knowledge about the project will be very, very minimal. But as we move along, we get more clarity and insights into the working of the project, or the requirements related to the customer. We get more insights into that. So that is what we say, it's a progressively elaborated. And every project is impacted by constraint. What is a condition which comes in the way of the project? For example, the biggest constraint we face in our projects is timeline, right? That the customer needs the solution by a particular timeline. So that is the biggest constraint what we have. So then budget can be a constraint, right? Then basically quality can be a constraint. So there can be multiple constraints in the project. And as a project manager, you need to effectively handle these constraints. You need to effectively manage these constraints, right? So every project is impacted by the constraint. And as a project manager, I need to handle these constraints or manage these constraints. Also, some very interesting thing about a project, it can either create a component by itself, okay, which is a final product, or it can create a product which is a kind of a feeded into another project, right? That is also something which it can do, right? Or it can actually be an outcome of a research. So a project could also be an outcome of a research element, or it could be service improvement or service enhancement. For example, if you see there, if you see as a part of it, I mean, 10, 15 years back, if I wanted to check in into a hotel, I actually needed a physical key to unlock my door. But now we have smart locks, right? I mean, you just need a card, you just need to swipe a card and the door would open up, right? So that is also an example of a project, improving the service or improving the behavior, improving the performance. So that is the example of a project, what we say, right? Or it could be coming out with a new social security construct for the country. All those things what we have as a part of this project what is there, right? Or that is what we have it as a project what is there. Definitions of a project, these are the definition, or this is a classic definition of a project what we say, right? And the objectives, right? The critical objectives from a project point of view. All right, moving ahead. So some reasons why projects could be triggered or why projects could be initiated. It could be because of regulatory requirements. So there could be some regulatory requirements because of which projects could be triggered or initiated, like any banking standard. Like Basel is a banking standard. So if you are in a banking industry, your IT systems have to be compliant with Basel standards. Business transformation project, which completely disrupts the existing business. Any projects which completely disrupts the existing businesses and comes out as a game changer, like what in India Geo has done to telecom providers, right? Like other telecom providers, or like what Amazon has done to the Walmarts of the world. So those are business transformation projects what we have. Projects triggered due to stakeholders request. So there are some stakeholders and they have a request, right? Typically IT outsourcing, right? Indian IT companies are getting outsourced or basically doing outsourced work. So that can be another example of what is there, right? That can be another example of a project, what we say. And then service improvement or service efficiency, right? So I mean the classic example there you can see is maybe earlier there was a bulb which was a typical old fashioned bulb. We replaced it with a CFL which was more energy efficient, and now we have LED bulbs or LED lamps which are further more energy efficient around it. So that can be an example of a the triggering point or the reasons why projects are initiated, right? From a normal bulb to a CFL bulb, how the journey has evolved, how essentially we have gone ahead and evolved that journey, what is there, right? So this is see, or this is what we have it as a part of the project definition, what is there, right? Or the reasons why projects are initiated in the first place. Okay, now one very important thing is that every project will bring about a transformational change. The very reason why organizations are doing projects is to bring about transformational changes, right? To basically disrupt a business. And that is what we have as one of the reasons, that how do we make that journey from an as is state to a to be state, right? So as is state is the current state, right? As is state is the current state, and definitely we see the world around us, we see some improvements. How do we incorporate those improvements into our product and we become a better to be state, right? So one of the important elements of every project is that it creates value. So one of the important tenets or outcomes of a project is a business value. And business value is comprised of two elements: tangible elements and intangible elements. Tangible elements are something which can be easily measured. Things which can be easily documented and measured will come in as a part of your tangible measures which are there. Like that because of this project, my stock price of the company has increased, or because I did this project, I earned so much of a windfall in the real estate, right? So those are the tangible elements which are there, something which can be measured. Something which can be easily measured is the tangible element. Intangible elements are mainly related to brand equity, customer standing, social equity, right? Goodwill, trademarks, etc. So those are related to the intangible elements. So when we talk about a business value of a project, it's a combination of business. Business value is a combination of tangible elements plus intangible elements together. Both of them combined together to create what is called as a business value, what is there, right? Or that is what is the business value element, what we call it, right? So this is the definition of a business value, what is there, right? A combination of tangible plus intangible elements which are there. Moving ahead, let us further see this. Yeah. So when we talk about a project, one of the crucial elements we need to understand is that you divide a project into multiple phases. And the reason we divide a project into multiple phases is to better manage the project, right? To have a better economies of scale and to better manage a project, we divide the project into multiple phases. At the end of each phase, there is a formal review meeting which happens, which is called as a toll gate review or a kill point or a stage point. So that is the formal meeting which happens, a toll gate review. A kill point is what we have. So that's the meeting. And in that meeting, a go no go decision might be taken. So we might take a call whether to go ahead or to basically continue with them or to stop the project completely. So that is what is called as a go no go decision, what is there. So at the end of a toll gate review, we might even take a decision that we don't want to go ahead with this project because the project is not meeting our requirement, right? So that could be a decision which could be taken, right? Or that could be a key decision which we say, which is a go no go decision what we have, right? And one important thing to understand is that your project phases are industry specific, which means each industry will have its own unique set of phases which are there. So that's one more important element, which is that in number of phases in your project, they are completely industry specific, is what we need to remember. Okay, and number of phases in a project depends on multiple parameters. One of the parameters is also the organization which is executing the project. So performing organization is the name of the organization which actually is executing the project, and that is what is called as the performing organization. So as a project manager, remember one golden thing, that project life cycle, whenever this word comes, it is a combination of the phases in the project. So multiple phases in the project constitute a project life cycle, what is there, right? And as a project manager, you should be constantly looking at the toll gate review. You should be looking into those things and trying to figure out what essentially is happening, right? What essentially is happening with this toll gate review, what is there, right? I mean, are things really moving ahead or not? So all those things will come in as a part of your toll gate review, what is there, right? Or that's the critical element of a toll gate review, what we have. Okay, so what is project management all about? So project management is a combination of three dimensions: the knowledge, skills, and the tools and technique. So knowledge is your knowledge related to the industry, your knowledge related to the domain, your knowledge about the business ecosystem, right? The business environment and the business ecosystem. So that is the knowledge what we have, or that is the definition of a knowledge what we say, right? Skills, there are multiple skills which are needed. Like you require project managerial skills, risk management skills, planning skills, estimation skills, right? So those are the different types of skills which are needed in the project. And last but not the least, we need to understand the tools and techniques. What essentially are the tools and techniques which we use to execute the project? So you could have tool like Microsoft Project, you could have technique like critical path method, you could have technique like work breakdown structure, EVM, earned value management. So those are the popularly used techniques. Those are very much widely used and the popularly used techniques. That is what we have. That is what we see are the techniques which are there, right? Or basically the technical elements of what we have. Okay, so this is what we need to remember. This is what we need to understand as a part of this project management, right? Or this is what essentially project management is all about: application of knowledge, skills, and tools and techniques related to the project. That is the definition of project management. What is there? So any project you are doing, you will have to identify your existing requirements, you'll have to identify and handle your stakeholders which are there. Okay, so you'll have to make sure that you basically handle the stakeholders, and you ensure that as a project manager you execute the project as per the elements which are there, right? I mean, as per the basically the constraints what are there. So that those are the things what comes in as a part of your project management, right? Or the activities, the critical activities what we do in order to make sure that the project meets its intended requirement what is there. Okay, moving ahead, let us further move ahead, and let us see this. Let us further see this. So application of knowledge, skills, and tools and techniques, all those elements come in as a part of your project management what is there. Okay, let us let's further move ahead. Yeah, so what are the typical challenges as a project manager we face, right? Or what is the data telling us? Now, if you look at this very interesting survey which was done by Standish Group, okay, there are 66% of the projects worldwide which miserably fail. They either partially fail or they fully fail. Isn't that a big number? I mean, imagine out of 100 projects, 66 projects are failing, right? So that's a very I would say very critical data what we have, right? I mean projects miserably failing, right? So that is one data point which is there. 17% of IT projects fail so badly that they threaten the very existence of the company. So your company itself existence is going to be threatened by these projects which are there. Okay, so this something very interesting what we see, right? I mean, very interesting what we see as a part of it, right? And 70% of the digital transformation engagements fail miserably. They fail short of meeting the targets. So that is what is another interesting data point which is there, right? And this is from BCG. And you know what is the reason for this? What is the reason for this? The reason for this, one of the biggest reasons for this is basically insufficiently defined project objectives and scope. So the scope of work is not properly defined, right? Failure to create a comprehensive project plan. Your planning itself is very poor. That is again one of the reasons. Inadequate allocation of resources and time. So you don't have proper allocation of resources and a proper allocation of time what is there. So that's another reason. So these are some of the reasons, some critical reasons what is there. Poor communication. One of the important reasons is that there's a poor communication which happens between team members. There's an insufficient engagement amongst the project stakeholders, and we don't even know what are the expectations of the stakeholders. We fail to address the critical expectations and the concerns of the stakeholders. So that is another important piece, or that is another important reason for the failure of the project, right? So and the third important section could be scope creep and changing requirements. So our requirements are constantly changing. Our requirements are constantly going to undergo a change, and we are unable to manage those changing requirements, right? Or it could be basically because of failure to manage scope creep, right? So we are unable to manage scope creep, and we are unable to basically handle our customer requirements in a proper way. So this is one of the biggest reasons, or these are the top three reasons why it is difficult, or why it is very much difficult to handle the projects, right? Or basically why projects fail in the first instance. Okay, moving ahead. Yeah. So we talked about this, and also some of the challenges which we as project managers face is that we do not, do we really know the outcomes of the project? Are we really aware about the outcomes which are there, right? I mean, what kind of outcomes are we aware about? That is one thing. Then, do we know the value? What is the value? Again, I talk about the business value, right? Tangible elements plus some intangible elements. So do we really deliver value? Do our projects really deliver value at the end of the day? Have we really identified the right set of stakeholders? Do we really know who all are our stakeholders, and have we really identified them? And last but definitely not the least, are we really communicating in an effective and an efficient manner? So that is also one of the key things, right? That we need to communicate in an effective and efficient manner. What is effective? Effective is giving the right information, and efficient is effective and efficient, sorry, means giving the right information to the right person at the right time, right? So that they can take some critical decisions. So that is the hallmark of a effective and a efficient communication, what we say, or that is what is the key element related to effective and efficient communication what we have. So that is what we see as the typical project management challenges which are there. Some more challenges: inadequate risk management. We are not able to do risk management in a proper manner. So that is a inadequate risk management of what we see, right? Or poorly handled risks in the project. Insufficient contingency planning. We don't really do a proper contingency planning. What is there? So that's also one of the key things, right? That's also one of the critical things, or one of the key things what we have, right? That inadequacy, or basically we are not able to do I mean a proper contingency planning what is there. That's another thing what is there. And then lack of proactive risk management strategies. So we are unable to basically do the risk management activities in a proper manner. So that is also one of the crucial elements. That is one of the key elements, or the crucial elements what we have. Okay, dynamics, poor team dynamics is also one of the reasons. When we say poor team dynamics, it is there's a culture, there's a toxicity, there's basically a constant misalignment of goals and lack of collaboration and coordination amongst the team members is what we see. So these could be the reasons, or these could be some of the fundamental reasons why we see that basically projects fail, or why we see basically the projects are not giving you the desired result. Okay, lack of effective leadership. So another challenge is the leadership itself is a problem, right? So that's another element what we have, right? So that's another thing what is there. Absence of governance. So there's hardly any governance which is happening in the project, and failure to identify or establish accountability, that who is going to take those decisions, those crucial decisions related to the project, who basically is going to take that decision what is there. Okay, so that is what we have it as a part of this element which is there, right? I mean, these are some of the challenges, these are, I would say, some of the elements or some of the challenges of what we see as a part of this project management element what is there, right? Or these are some of the pointers related to the reasons, the top 6 reasons and the subcategories under it for the projects to fail, right? So that is what we are trying to understand here. All right, moving ahead. Yeah, now one more very interesting thing, PMI. Now, what is PMI? PMI stands for Project Management Institute. And Project Management Institute is a global body. It's a global body which is into project management, consultancy, research, and education. Recently, PMI has come out with its new, I would say, guide, which is called as the PMBOK guide. PMBOK acronym is Project Management Body of Knowledge. And one very startling change which they have made in this new book is they have shifted the entire ecosystem. So it is no longer an output driven approach, it is more of an outcome based approach. So when we talk about project management in today's world, it is more about an outcome driven approach what they talk about, rather than talking about an approach. It is more of an outcome driven approach is what they are talking about. So that is one big change which has happened, right? So from an output based to an outcome based, it talks about a system or an ecosystem or a vehicle for value delivery. So whatever we do at the end of the day, it has to generate a value. It needs to generate a business value to the customer or to the end user. So that is one key thing, or that is one of the critical things what has come out of it, the ecosystem for value delivery. And then from knowledge areas, it has gone to project management principles. So I don't know if anyone was studying for PMP exam earlier. I mean, the earlier edition of PMBOK, it talked about more about knowledge area. Now it talks about principles and domains. It talks about certain fundamental principles and domains which are there, and it's more from knowledge areas to a principal element which is there, right? So that is one of the key things. That is one of the key elements of what we have, right? From principles to sorry, from knowledge areas to principle based is what it calls, and it is more on the performance domain. As I said, the focus is now on the performance domain rather than on the process areas. It is more on the performance domain is where it actually is talking about, right? Or where exactly it is moving ahead. So that is the big change. That is a big change of what we have as a part of the currency. The currency of project management itself has changed over the years, right? So that's one of the key things. That's one of the critical element of what we have. Yeah. So once again, coming back to this value equation, the business value combination is the sum of tangible elements plus sum of intangible elements. Both of them play a very crucial role, or both of them have a very important role. What is there, right? The tangible as well as intangible elements what are there, right? So that is the value equation what we have. Okay, so now obviously we don't have time to go through each of this principle in detail, but as I said, one of the important changes which PMI has brought in is they talk about these 12 project management principles which are there. So those are the 12 crucial principles of what we have, which we see here, right? The 12 project management principles which are there. And let us try to understand these in detail. Okay, I mean, as far as possible in next 20 minutes. Okay, so the first principle is be a diligent, respectful, and caring steward. So one of the very important things which PMI now talks about is that how do you nurture your team? How do you take care of your team? Rather than having a command and control leadership style, how you can utilize your coaching and a mentoring and a guidance leadership style so that your team becomes actually a more high performing team what is there, right? So this is the new school of thought. The new school of thought, it says project managers are as stewards or project managers as caretakers. And at the same time, when we talk about caretakers, it doesn't mean that I won't be aggressive. Definitely I'll be aggressive, but essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that aggression in the right direction, or I'm going to channelize it in the correct direction. So that is one of the crucial things, or that is one of the key things as a diligent and a caring steward what we say. The second principle is create a collaborative team environment, right? So team, when we say team, right, a team is not just a mere collection of people. A team is a collection of people having a shared vision, a goal, a north star statement, and they are all trying to target that north star goal what is there, right? So it is all about coordination and collaboration. It is not just about just coming together and trying to do the work. It is about collaborating activities which are there, right? So that is what comes in as a part of your collaboration activities what is there. Okay, so this is what we call it as a collaboration element or a collaborative activity. That is the second principle what is there. How do we create a collaborative team environment what is there? Okay, the third one, effectively engage with stakeholders. So it's not stakeholder management, it is stakeholder engagement. You don't manage stakeholders, you keep them engaged. So all the activities needed to keep them engaged. Now, who's a stakeholder? A stakeholder is either an individual or an entity who's impacted by the success or failure of a project. So there are positive stakeholders in the project, there are negative stakeholders in the project. There are direct stakeholders in the project. There are indirect stakeholders in the project. So it is very important for us to understand and identify who all are stakeholders in the project and how do we effectively keep them engaged. How do we make sure that we keep them engaged towards the success of the project, right? So there are different tools from stakeholder engagement perspective, which of course you study in the actual session, which helps you to identify and thereby engage with the stakeholders. So there are multiple tools which are available which helps you to do that. Okay, moving ahead, focus on value. I think we already discussed this. Business value, it's a combination of tangible elements plus intangible elements. So both these elements have to come in together, right? That is the core principle. What is there? A combination of tangible plus some intangible elements together constitutes what is popularly called as a business value, or that is what is the definition of a business value. What we say. Okay, moving ahead. Okay, systems thinking. Now, this is something very interesting. So, systems thinking is all about thinking about the entire system. Any change you make, it could have a major impact, right? Even a small change you make in the product, it could have a catastrophic impact. I think recently we all saw, right, what happened with this crowdsource strike, which happened a month back, right? I mean, many IT systems in the world got completely hanged, right? And people were really clueless as to what caused this major disruption. I don't know if any one of you faced this disruption, but it was a catastrophic disruption with airlines canceling their flights or basically the ticket booking taking a lot of time. So we all saw that impact of that, what we call it as this crowdsource strike, which was there, right? So that is what we call it as the I mean, systems thinking. Think about the larger ecosystem. Think about how even a small change could impact or create a buzz in the bigger ecosystem what is there. So that is the core, that is one of the core project management principle what we have, right? Systems thinking what is there. Okay, so that's the system thinking element or the system thinking what we have. Yeah, leadership behavior, I already said that there are multiple leadership styles which are there, right? So we have to pick up the leadership style which helps us better, right? Or basically which helps us to do the thing. right? So that is the leadership style which is there. So you can see multiple leadership styles like autocratic leadership styles, transformational leadership style, charismatic leadership style, laissez-faire leadership style, command and control leadership style. So there is no right or a wrong leadership style. Remember this. It is a contextual decision which you will have to take. So you will have to decide which leadership style you will apply under which situations or under which circumstances. So that is one of the critical element, or that is one of the key elements what we have from a leadership style perspective, what is there, right? Or a leadership style element. So that's a leadership style what we have, right? That is the leadership style element or a leadership style what we have. Okay, moving ahead, let us further move ahead, and let us further see this. Yeah, tailoring. What is tailoring? Tailoring is basically modifying it or customizing it as per your unique need. Okay, so that is what we call it as tailoring. What is there, right? Or that is the definition of a tailoring. What we say, right? So that is the tailoring element or the tailoring piece. What we say, right? Something which is so you're going to basically tailor the process, or you're going to customize the process as per your unique needs or as per your unique requirements which are there. So that is what is called as tailoring process, what we say, or that is the tailoring, what we call it, right? So this is the tailoring element, what is there, right? Customizing it as per the unique needs or as per the unique requirements. Eighth principle is quality built in or quality baked in into the process. So one of the important elements of project management is quality. How do we build a quality product, right? How do we ensure that quality is ingrained into the system? So whatever we are doing, quality is something which is ingrained into the element. So that comes in as a part of this quality management which is there, right? Or that's what is the quality management element, what we call it, right? How do we bake the quality into it, right? Or how the quality is ingrained into the process. So that is what comes in as a part of this quality management element, what is there. Okay, so that is a quality management element or the quality management pointer what is there. And yes, when we talk about quality, which is we have a culture of quality which is quality assurance and quality control. Okay, this is what we have it as a part of the quality management activities which are there, right? Or the quality management elements what we have. Okay, so this is we say quality assurance and quality control. What is the quick difference between the two? Quality assurance is about the process, and quality control is about the product, right? That is the key difference. What is there? Quality assurance and quality control is what we have. And yes, I mean quality has to be baked in, or we need to have the best in class quality practices in order to achieve a good quality product, a good quality service, or a good quality result. So those are the quality management systems, or the quality being baked in into the overall ecosystem is what we have, right? So that those are the quality management attributes or the quality management elements we have. Okay, moving ahead. Let us further move ahead and let us see this further. Okay. And yes, navigate complexity. We all live in what we call as the VUCA world and the BANI world. Has anyone heard this term by any chance? VUCA and BANI? And what do they signify? So VUCA is volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. I mean, the COVID world, what we call, right? That is a VUCA world, what is there. BANI is brittle, anxious, non-linear, and incomprehensible, right? I mean, the world which we live in, right? There are so many changes which happen so quickly, right? That it is very difficult sometimes to keep pace with the changes, right? There's a lot of complexity around us. There's a lot of chaos around us. But still, I mean, decisions might be changed abruptly, right? Or requirements might undergo a change immediately. But as a project manager, we have to handle this complexity with dexterity, I would say. Okay. We have to make sure that we have the skills available to handle this complexity and navigate out of it. So that is what we call it as navigate complexity, what is there, right? So basically successfully navigate and make sure that we deliver the project, right? We deliver the project and we get a satisfaction from the customer, right? So that is what comes in as a part of this navigate complexity, what is there, or that's one of the critical elements from a complexity perspective we need to understand. Okay. 10th one is optimize risk resources. So risk, what is risk? Any uncertain event which could impact the project is a risk, what we say. And a project manager is also called as a risk manager, right? So any uncertain event impacting the project, and you could have also, by the way, there could be a positive risk. Positive risk is called as an opportunity. So the definition of a positive risk, when we say, is an opportunity, what is there? One of the tools which is used to capture the risk in a project is called as a risk register. So risk register is the name of the tool where we capture all the risks related to project. So that definition or that tool name is called as a risk register. All right. And then, of course, embrace adaptability and resiliency, similar to the VUCA world, as we said. We live in a world where there are a lot of challenges. We live in the world where we need to be adaptable to the changes which are happening. And most importantly, we need to ensure that change is something which is embraced rather than change being detested. It is something which is embraced and it is taken to its logical closure. So that's one of the key elements from a adaptability and a resiliency perspective we need to understand. The last project management principle we have is that how do we visualize as leaders, right? What will be the future state? So we have a current as is state, but how do we visualize the future, or how do we go from a current as is state to a future to be state? So that's one of the critical element, or that's one of the we have as a part of this the last principle what is there. Okay, so yes, I mean, before I finally open up the floor for questions, just wanted to tell you one important thing, that all this is a part of the PMP certification program. So PMP is a project management professional. It is one of the gold standards in project management. It comes from an institute called as PMI, Project Management Institute. PMBOK is the name of the guidebook. So guidebook PMBOK will be the one which you have to study for clearing the PMP certification. Okay, so that's one of the key things from a PMBOK perspective. And if you look at the certification program, as I said, it is a gold standard in project management, and this is a certificate which definitely improves your marketability. It increases customers' confidence in your delivery ability. If you're a PMP certified, okay, if you're a PMP certified professional, definitely you get more opportunities. Your salary would increase, right? So that's one thing. And overall, it helps you to improve the way your projects are executed, right? It's an industry agnostic certification. So you could be from any industry, but this is one certification which will be valued across all the industries and domains which are there. Okay, so that's one of the key things I wanted to let you know. The eligibility criteria is very straightforward. You need to be a bachelor's degree holder with around 3 years of experience, work experience. Not necessarily you have to be a project manager. As I said, the definition of a project which I covered, it includes it's an industry agnostic definition. What is there, right? So 3 years of experience and 35 hours of contact session or 35 contact hours of training, that is the criteria, or that is the eligibility criteria from a PMP certification perspective, right? And obviously it's a rigorous course. It's a rigorous course which will help you prepare for the exam, and which will help you crack the exam with ease, right? So definitely you can get with the team and get more details about this certification. And coming to the examination, it's a CBT, which means a computer-based exam. Multiple choice objective questions are given. 4 options are given for every question, and you have to basically pick up the answer. There are 3 domains around which this is done. Okay, 3 domains around which these questions are asked: the people domain, the process domain, and basically the business environment domain, right? So those are the 3 domains. Those are the 3 critical domains what we have. Okay, so those are the 3 domains around which we basically issue the examination what is there, right? So that's one of the key things what is there, right? And as I said, there's no negative marking. The questions are asked in a random order. Okay, so they're asked in a pretty random order. what we see, right? So that's the key thing, or that's one of the key element what we have from a basically a perspective related to the PMP exam. So three domains what we see, and 35 tasks and 135 enablers which are there. So that is what we have, right? That is what we see as a part of this exercise what is there, right? Or that's the critical element what we have as a part of this PMP domain what is there. Moving ahead, let us further move ahead, and let's further understand this as we go along, right? Okay, yeah. So some tips. Yeah, you should target to give the PMP exam in 45 days. Okay, that is one of the key things, right? That is one of the critical things what you should be doing. Recommended study from my side would be that you should be studying for at least 2 hours on a Monday to Friday, and 4 hours on a Saturday and Sunday, right? So that is one thing which is there, right? That's one thing what we need to remember. Okay, and we have to take. I mean, before the exam, I would suggest to take a 3 to 4 days break. What is there, right? That is one thing which I would strongly recommend, right? A 3 to 4 days of break, what we have, it will be ideal. Okay, it will be ideal is what I would say. Okay, a 3 to 4 days of break, what is there. Okay, also one more very important thing as far as this is concerned. I mean, objective questions are there, but you can apply the method of elimination. Okay, you can actually go ahead and do the method of elimination what is there, right? So that's also one of the key things what is there, right? I mean, the method of elimination is something what you might want to apply as a part of it, right? And yes, you'll have to solve enough questions, practice exam questions which are there, which you can definitely solve, right? Which you can definitely solve around it. So that's also something what we need to do, right? Or that's also something what you can do it as a part of it. Okay, so these are, I would say, some of the elements, or these are some of the, I would say, tips and techniques for a PMP exam. Solve enough practice questions. There is no negative marking in the exam. Okay, so you can definitely give an intelligent guess. You can definitely give an intelligent guess, and you can crack the exam with ease, right? So this is what comes in, or these are the elements what we need to remember from an exam point of view. Yeah, so yes, I mean, there is a very comprehensive PMP training program. So if interested, please reach out to the team and they will guide you with this. Okay, so before we wind up this session, I know we just have another 6 minutes. Does anyone have any questions around what we covered in last, I would say, 50-55 minutes? Any queries around it? Any questions any of you have? Feel free to type in the chat box, and I'll be more than happy to take up that question and solve it. I mean, I try to address it. So any questions anyone has? Yeah, and also please provide us with the feedback of this session, and that would really help us to give a better delivery to you. But yeah, meanwhile, if any of you has got any questions around it or any query, I hope I'm audible to all of you. Okay, what else apart from PMBOK should I use to crack the PMP? So there are other reference books also. There are other reference books also, like so that obviously when you start studying, you'll come to know which are those. But PMBOK is definitely mandatory. Okay, PMBOK is definitely mandatory. That is one of the books which is mandatory. But apart from that, there are other reference books also which are there. Multiple reference books are there. Again, each one of them has got its own advantages and disadvantages. So this deck is a part of the larger PMP course. Okay, so as such, we don't give this deck separately, but definitely this is a part of the PMP certification program. Yes, any other question anyone has? Okay. Yeah, sure. My pleasure to cover this topic. I know it's not easy to cover the entire. So by the way, it's an ocean. Project management is an ocean. I've just tried to give you one drop in the last 1 hour what we have been talking. Okay, it's a very vast subject. It is not something which can be easily covered in 1 hour or something. And it's a vast ocean, as I said. Okay. Any other questions? Any queries? Any other questions here? Okay, I'm just scrolling through the chat to just see if there are any other question which I would have missed or not. Just scrolling through them. Thanks, Vinod. Thanks, Evan. Yeah, thanks for your feedback. Okay, so I think if there are no further questions, I think we can close the session now. So once again, thanks everyone. Appreciate everyone for spending time with me. It's not easy to spend time and that too on a working day. For me, it was really a pleasure delivering this talk to you. Thanks a lot, and wishing you all the best in your project management knowledge journey, what is there. Okay, so thanks once again, and have a great evening or a day ahead. Thank you, and see you all soon. Thanks a lot.